The Lovely Lane Youth present Yesterday's News.
Hurry up, Sophie. We're going live in 30 seconds.
Hold on, Anderson. You have a big zit on your cheek. Hold still.
It's not a zit, it's a mole.
It's a zit.
Beauty mark.
Zit.
I don't have zits, it's a blemish.
Well, here, let me unblemish you. There, ready to face the world.
Handsome as ever.
I'm not a miracle worker.
Peter Piper picked a pickled peppers. Good evening. We interrupt this regularly scheduled program with breaking news. Itinerant preacher and local hero Jesus of Nazareth has been arrested here in Jerusalem at a local park after a splashy arrival at the city gates last Sunday with hundreds of followers shouting messianic campaign slogans. Jesus has shaken the religious community to its core. Reports of miracles, healings, veiled threats, and a knockdown, drag-out fight at the temple has the high priest and his Sanhedrin meeting extra sessions. Earlier tonight, the carpenter from Galilee met with his inner circle for a Passover meal. Rachel Mildew is there in an upper room in East Jerusalem. Rachel, are you there?
Yes, Cooper. I'm here with one of the servants at the household. Deborah, what happened here tonight?
Well, it was a pretty typical Passover meal, except for a couple strange things.
Strange things?
Yeah. Before the meal was served, the head guy,
Jesus?
Yeah, the rabbi. He took off his tunic and began to wash everyone's feet. I'm the low man on the totem pole around here. So usually foot washing is my job, but not this time. The rabbi did it.
I've never heard of such a thing. Are you sure?
I told you it's strange, but he said if the top dog can be a servant, then so can they. And you know, I think they were listening.
Why?
Because they did the dishes afterwards.
Wow, that is pretty unusual behavior for a bunch of guys. So, what was the other strange thing?
Yeah, after the meal was over, the rabbi took some bread and said he was about to be broken open for the world. He broke the bread and passed it out, and it sounded like he was expecting trouble, like he was going to die or something.
Thank you, Deborah. Anderson, this is pretty unusual behavior for a man with messianic intentions. First a servant, then a sacrifice, and now with his arrest. Possibly a martyr? Only time will tell. Back to you, Anderson. This is Rachel Mildew in Jerusalem.
Thank you, Rachel. With Jesus arrested and being interrogated before the Sanhedrin, many of his followers are frightened. Let's go to the high priest's courtyard where Beth Malachi is interviewing one of them now. Beth?
Yes, Anderson. I hear of a man who's been identified by 3 different witnesses to be a follower of Jesus. What is your name, sir?
No names, no cameras, please.
All right, cut the camera. We'll just do audio. So, how long have you known this man, Jesus?
I don't know. Just leave me alone.
Come on now. We have 3 different witnesses saying you knew him well. So, what first drew you to him?
I swear on my father's grave, I don't even know the man.
He's on trial behind these double doors. Is that why you're here?
I'm here because of a promise. I used to believe. I used to hope. Look, I don't even know the guy. Just leave me alone.
Well, as you can see, the arrest of Jesus has really sent shockwaves through his followers. However, it's hard to see how it has much of a future with followers like this. Back to you, Anderson.
Thanks, Beth. Let's take a break for a word from one of our fine sponsors.
Introducing the iStone 4 Omega. Look how thin it is.
You can even play your pocket.
One charge lasts 20,000 years, but it blows up when you charge it, so be very careful.
Unlimited hours, talk all you want. And I said, you call that a dowry? You have to give me like 3 sheep. 1 sheep won't cut it, mister.
Use your iStone to play bocce.
Perfect for all your long distance needs.
I can build mine for you too.
Yeah, well I threw mine 69 cubits.
Use your iStone to start fire.
Use your iStone to settle all arguments with your neighbors. Use the iStone to execute criminals.
Break on the bacon with your iStone.
The iStone, the latest in Stone Age technology.
arrest of Jesus has shaken not only his followers, but also the various interest groups that form the political landscape of Israel. Essenes, Sadducees, Zealots are all watching his trial with keen interest. Some sympathetic, some hardline, but all fully aware that the next few hours could change everything about their... Hold on a second. We have breaking news at the scene of the arrest. Bill O'Reilly is there with one of the centurions who was on the arrest.
Yes, Cooper, I'm here at the scene of Jesus' arrest. What's your name, Centurion?
Lucius Flavius Publius Maximus Junius Brutus Gaius. Harriet. Just call me Luke.
Okay, Luke, were you here for the arrest tonight?
Yes. The high priest authorized us to arrest this troublemaker, so we obliged him. Just one more example of the excellent cooperation between the Jewish authorities and the Roman peacekeepers.
Was there any resistance on the part of Jesus or his followers?
Just a minute here. Yes. Although the criminal Jesus espoused nonviolence, his followers did attack us, but with little effect. They were scattered like sheep, and Jesus was taken away in chains. That's all I have for the press. Nothing else to see here, so move along.
Do you think the Roman governor will get involved?
I said that's all. Now move along.
Okay, sir. I get your point. Scooper, something about the smell is kind of fishy.
Well, most of Jesus' followers were fishermen.
No, I mean a cover-up. There's something going on here. Let me do some snooping, Scooper.
Alrighty, O'Reilly.
So, what's your name, Trooper?
Gemensis, Jojastus, Pentuberous.
Can I call you Jim?
Well, you can, but my mama always called me Jimmy Joe.
Okay, Jimmy Joe. Were you here tonight?
Is that a camera there?
Yeah.
Am I on TV? Hi, Mama. Oh, sure, I was there. I was the one who clamped irons on him.
So, tell me, was it a pretty normal arrest?
Well, I'd say so. We had a stoolie give us a tip so that we could catch the guy without getting the crowd all riled up. And, well, then there was one thing kind of strange about it, though. I couldn't figure out why he didn't rabbit out on us.
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, look around here. We're up on top of a hill. I mean, you can see somebody coming for some 20 minutes, you know? And it was like he wanted to be caught. I mean, think of that. All them Roman soldiers coming up with torches. It was like he wanted to be caught.
What do you mean?
Well, see, I think that one of the strange things that happened was when Sarge said his name and was like asking him who it was, and he said his name and like he said, I am, and then all of a sudden we all fell down. All of us fell down. Sarge thought that we had like tripped each other, but that's not what happened. Not at all. See, when he said I am, I just couldn't stand up no more. I just had to go down my knees. All of us did. It was the darndest thing.
The whole cohort?
Every flea-flicking one of us, and the Sarge too. And then there was the ear thing.
Oh, really?
Yes, Anderson?
Not you, O'Reilly. I meant, oh, really? Get to the bottom of these reports.
What about the ear thing?
Oh, the ear thing? Well, see, one of his followers had a sword, and he was like swinging it around. When we made our move on Jesus, he swung that over and hit the side of the high priest's slave right on the side of his head, cut his ear clean off. I mean, there's the guy's ear just laying there on the ground with blood all over it. And he's, of course, screaming bloody murder. And his head is just gushing buckets of blood. And, well, you know, a head wound bleeds. It bleeds and bleeds. And it just... Oh, hey there, newsman. Are you all right?
Hey, Bill, can you hear me? Bill. Hey, are you still there, Bill? Bill? Hello? Bill?
I'm here, little man.
Jimmy Joe, what happened to Bill?
He's taking a little break. Got his head down a gopher hole.
So, Jimmy Joe, what happened after that?
Well, so we was going to massacre his followers, see? But then, well, Jesus, like, puts his hands up, and then he reaches down and he picks up that old ear off the ground. He dusts it off real careful like. And And then he tells his followers to put away their swords and to calm down. And then he puts that ear back on that feller, just puts it right back on there, so it's like healed, like you wouldn't even see a scar. And then he just comes on up, puts his hands out to me, and that's when I clapped the irons on him. Yeah, we led him off like a lamb to slaughter.
Wow, just as you said, like he wanted to be caught. I wonder what he has up his sleeve. Thank you, Jimmy Joe. That was Bill really out cold at the Garden of Gethsemane. The arrest of Jesus points to the collusion between two bitter enemies, the Jewish high priest Caiaphas and the Roman governor Pontius Pilate. As the old saying goes, politics makes for odd bedfellows. For more on this, let's go to the Situation Room with Wolf Blitzkrieg.
Thank you, Scooper. These are perilous times for the city of Jerusalem indeed. This weekend marks the beginning of the Passover season, where the size of the city will swell to 3 million people. That would make it twice the size of Rome, the largest city in the world. With all these religious pilgrims here, unrest and revolution are in the air. But Caiaphas, the high priest, knows that any revolution will be put down by Pontius Pilate's army with brutal force. The arrest of Jesus, the so-called Messiah, is Caiaphas' way of defending the peace. Now, the Jews do not have the power to put Jesus to death. For that, they would need the Romans. But the Romans do not wish to kill Jesus due to his popularity at his triumphant entrance into the city last Sunday. Oh, goodness, where was I? Even now, Governor Pilate refuses to try Jesus, and for that, has sent him to Galilee to be tried by, what was his name?
Herod Antipas.
Thank you, King Herod Antipas. He wishes to be rid of this political hot potato, as I'm sure Herod will eventually. There's no telling how this potential powder keg will play out this weekend. Only time will tell. Back to you, Anderson. This is Wolf Blitzkrieg in the Situation Room.
Anderson, wake up.
What? Thank you, Sophie, Wolf, for that scintillating analysis. And that is our special report for tonight. We'll be sure to keep you updated as the fate of Jesus in the city of Jerusalem unfolds. This is Anderson Scooper signing off. Good night and Shabbat Shalom.
And off. What a night for news. Good job, Scooper.
We've got to find someone who doesn't faint at the sound of blood.
Oh, really?
Yes, so really? What a win. We've got to pull him off location and put him back here at the studio.
Oh, really?
Yes, so really?
I meant... Never mind. See you, Scooper.
Have a good weekend, Sophie. See you Sunday bright and early.
Do you ever wonder, though, if maybe he is the one?
The Messiah?
Yeah, I mean, he's nothing like I expected him to be, commanding armies and telling everyone what to do. This guy is peaceful. He lets us choose who we're going to follow. He doesn't care what the powerful people say. He stands for the little people. I like him. I hope he is the Messiah.
Well, I hope he has an army, because he's going to need one to survive the weekend. Good night, Sophie.
See you, Scooper. Behold my servant, whom I uphold, my chosen, in whom my soul delights. I have put my soul upon him. He will bring forth justice to the nations. He will not cry or lift up his voice or make it heard in the street. A bruised reed he will not break, and a dimly burning wick he will not quench. But he will faithfully bring forth righteousness. He will not fail or be discouraged till he establish justice in the earth.
Sophie, you look terrible, like you haven't slept in days.
I'm just so sick about what happened Friday. What did he do to deserve such a brutal death?
The Romans, the Jews, even the crowd turned against him. He didn't stand a chance. At least it didn't take him long to die.
The whole world fell in on him. All the fear, hate, mistrust, and selfishness just all fell on his shoulders. No man could carry that.
No man.
No man, you ready?
Mm-hmm.
5 seconds. This is Alpha Beta Gamma News with everybody's favorite host, Anderson Scooper.
Good morning, Jerusalem. Jesus of Nazareth, the country rabbi, is dead, executed by Rome and condemned by the Sanhedrin. He expired around 3 o'clock Friday afternoon following 2 severe beatings and 6 hours nailed to a cross. His death brings a swift end to the Jesus movement. Miraculous healings, feeding thousands with just a few loaves of bread, and teachings that fired the hearts of the poor and outcasts are now forgotten and erased by a dark and terrible spectacle of crucifixion. Let's join Rachel Mildew at the governor's palace at Caesarea Philippi, where he's holding a press conference. Rachel?
Anderson, the governor is just beginning his remarks to the press.
There has been some confusion in the press about the role of Rome in the death of the Nazarene carpenter they called Jesus. He was convicted by his own people on the charge of blasphemy and condemned to death. I found nothing in him deserving death, but at the insistence of the high priest and the loud acclamation of the people, he was crucified. I have washed my hands of this death and consider it an internal matter for the Jewish people. Any questions?
Governor, you had a sign placed on the cross which read, Jesus of Nazareth, King of the Jews. What did you mean by that?
I meant that this is what will happen to anyone that proclaims himself king above Caesar.
Did you think Jesus was a king?
Jesus is dead. He can't be a king. That's the end of him and the end of his kingdom. Next question.
Governor, what if the report said Jesus is not dead, that he's been seen alive among his followers?
If he can survive one of my crucifixions, I'll even worship him myself.
So you do take responsibility for the death of Jesus?
You know, it's just this kind of fake news that makes me regret talking to reporters in the first place. This press conference is over.
It looks like the governor is ready and willing to play the blame game, Anderson. This is Rachel Mildew at the governor's palace in Caesarea Philippi.
Good work, Rachel. Let's hear from the other side of this fight. We have the press secretary of the Sanhedrin, the Jewish High Council, ready to speak to the new man in the field, Rush Limburger. Try to avoid the cheesy questions, Rush.
Never heard that one before, Anderson. Very funny, zit boy.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Sure you don't. As soon as the press secretary arrives, we will begin the meeting. It appears he has just arrived. I will take my seat.
Are there any questions? Yes, Mr. Limburger.
Mr. Press Secretary, what was the Sanhedrin's problem with Jesus?
He was a blasphemer. He made himself out to be the Son of God.
But if he was the Messiah promised by the prophets, wouldn't he be God's son?
Well, yes, technically he would be, but he was not the Messiah.
How do you know?
Because he was a blasphemer.
You're making me dizzy going around in circles. So how do you explain his miracles?
Cheap parlor tricks, magic, that's all.
Healing people of serious diseases? Feeding 5,000 people from one lunch? Walking on water? Commanding the wind and waves? These are not magic tricks.
We believe that Jesus was using the powers of Satan to do these things. He was a menace. He was a threat to our people. He had to be stopped.
Was he not also a terrible threat to you and Jewish leadership? Didn't he call you hypocrites, whitewashed tombs, putting burdens on the people that you would not follow yourselves?
I tell you, he was a genuine problem for the Jewish people. We had only their interests at heart. He had to be stopped.
And so you put him to death?
Oh, no. Mr. Limburger, we did not put him to death. No, the Romans put him to death. They have his blood on their hands.
Sounds familiar. Would you like to wash your hands too?
Are there some other questions? Yes, young lady.
Mr. Secretary, what does the Sanhedrin say about the reports that Jesus is not dead, but very much alive?
This is a total fabrication, a lie, a hoax perpetuated by his disciples. They steal his body from the tomb, and then they tell everyone he's been raised from the dead. But I saw him die last Friday, and I know he is dead. Dead as a doornail, and no amount of hoaxes and lies can bring him back. I swear to you that the Jesus movement is dead and that he is no longer relevant.
Anderson, what's all this talk about Jesus being alive? Have our sources heard anything?
No, it's the first I've heard of it.
You've got to send someone to figure these reports out and see where they're coming from.
I guess we'd send O'Reilly.
Oh, really?
Yes, sir. Stop that. Tell him to hightail to Jesus' tomb immediately.
Well, there you have it, Anderson. Everyone wanted Jesus dead, but no one wanted to take the blame.
The old Jerusalem two-step. Thank you, Rush. Let's take a break for a special weather report by our very own Justinian Gertz.
Hello, this is Justinian Gertz with your Alpha Beta Gamma weather report. The outlook for the rest of this weekend is clear and mild, with lingering low pressure here in Egypt, but a cold front in Assyria could bring some rainy weather as early as Tuesday. The Weather Center in Damascus has issued its report on the abrupt and unexplained storm last Friday afternoon that darkened the skies above Jerusalem. They attribute the unexpected storm to an altercation between Zeus and Poseidon over their weekly game of checkers. Yeah, I don't know if I buy that either, but there you have it. Be sure to drink plenty of water on this hot and sunny Sunday, and wear your burqas if you're going to be out in the sun. This is Justinian Gertz with the Alpha Beta Gamma weather report, just for you, Jerusalem.
Welcome back to Alpha Beta Gamma News with your news host, Anderson Scooper.
1 week ago today, the Jesus movement took the city by storm, as hundreds turned out for his entry into Jerusalem. A mere 7 days later, he is dead, condemned by his own people, executed by Rome. Beth Malachi is at the Roman barracks with a centurion who supervised the crucifixion. Beth?
Yes, Anderson, I'm here with
Lucius, Flavius, Publius, Maximus, Junius, just call me Luke.
Luke, you were there at the death of Jesus. What was that like?
The prisoner Jesus was executed according to the due process of the laws of Rome and with the express consent of the Jewish Sanhedrin.
Is that all you're going to say?
Yes, that's all I'm authorized to say.
You can't tell us more?
Not on the record.
All right, shut off the cameras and sound. So, now what was it like? How did Jesus die?
A crucifixion is a neat, precisely calculated 20-foot square piece of hell. The prisoner's full body weight is suspended upon 3 nails, designed to make every breath that he takes excruciating. It usually takes several days for them to die, and every moment is agony. We designed it that way, the perfect balance between unstoppable pain but not lethal pain, making the death long and slow. Men break under this pain. Any shred of humanity is lost. They die like animals, shrieking, moaning, cursing. You see, but the carpenter was different. People jeered at him and spit on him, but he never returned a word of it. He never broke. He never lost his humanity. I heard him pray to his God, asking him to forgive us, because we didn't know what we were doing. You know, I sometimes wonder what's waiting for me in the next world. Will the gods forgive me for what I've done, the pain I've caused, the lives I've taken? I think I want to meet his God.
Thank you, Luke. I'll keep your name off the record.
The way he died was like no man I've ever seen. Died like the Son of God.
Well, it looks like we're having some technical difficulties with Beth's transmission, so let's finish out our hour with an interview in the field by Bill O'Reilly at the Tomb of Jesus. Bill?
Yeah, Scooper. I'm here with one of Jesus' followers. What's your name, ma'am?
Mary Magdalene.
Well, you seem positively radiant for someone who just lost their beloved leader.
We thought he had lost him, but he has come back to us. Jesus lives! God has raised him from the dead!
Whoa, lady. Do you have any evidence for this wild claim?
I went to his tomb this morning, and when I got there, the stone at the entrance was rolled away, and he was not in there. He is risen!
Yes, but you do know that his followers could have taken his body in the night to make it look like he was alive.
But there were 15 soldiers at the entrance just to prevent that from happening. Besides, why would we want to create a hoax, a lie? Who's willing to give their life for a lie? Not me, but I'm willing to live or die for Jesus.
An empty tomb. That's all you got? It's going to take a bit more than that.
I can do better than that. I seen him. He spoke to me. He called me by name. At first I didn't recognize him, but then he said my name and I knew him.
You saw him. Right here. Is he available for an interview?
He's meeting us in Galilee. You can go with us.
Anderson, are you getting this?
Yes, Bill, this is incredible. I don't know how it could be true.
It's just like Jesus said. With people it's impossible, but with God anything is possible. It's what the prophet Isaiah foretold. Therefore, I'll divide him a portion of the great. The highest place will be his, because he looked death in the face and didn't flinch, because he embraced the company of the lowest.
I don't believe this.
Oh, neither did the male disciples, but they believe me now. Just remember, God believes in you. Have you heard? Jesus is alive. Jesus is risen. Say it with me if you believe. Jesus is risen. Jesus is risen. I can't hear you. Jesus is risen. Say it again. Jesus is risen.
Holy socks, Anderson, can you see this?
I sure can. I don't think this Jesus thing is quite as dead as we thought it was.
It's about as alive as he is.
Bill, I want you on the caravan to Galilee.
Oh, really?
Yes, oh, really? I want that interview. Just be careful as you go through Samaria. I hear they like to cut off Jewish ears.
Anderson, you're terrible.
And that is our report for Alpha Beta Gamma News. A day that began in sorrow and darkness has become a day of unsurpassed light, laughter, and limitless hope. This is Anderson Scooper signing off.
Our youth who have spent many hours. A big thanks to Justin Gertz. A big thanks to Pastor Paul, who wrote the play as he usually does. Thank you, Pastor Paul. A big thank you to Eric Wylie. Give him a hand. He's back in the sound booth. He did all that stuff back there. Woo! And I want to give a thanks to Michael Ciabatti, who came back from college and filled in for us and stood right here and did his part. So thanks, Michael. You know, once you're a lovely laner, always a lovely laner. Amen? Yeah. All right. Carly, will you come and lead us in our Easter manifest?